Hi guys, Arian here, doing another video. I might be doing What If Deku Had Ink Sans Powers Part 4 tomorrow, but for now I'm going to be doing What if Deku was Bendy, or had Bendy's power. You get the point. Uh, and I wanted to upload What If Deku had Geno Sans part 3, but yeah, that went south. So I decided to do this because I think it'd be better if I just keep continuing focusing on one what if, and then some days I'd branch off to do other what ifs until this series is finished. Well, finished until season 6 comes out. Like until My Hero Academia is finished, none of these what ifs are truly finished. Well, I mean, unless I want to end them, then yeah. Anyways, shout out to my friend AV Elvis. I wanted to shout him out last video, but I was so tired I forgot. He has a YouTube channel. He does like Fortnite montages and stuff. He's almost at 200 subscribers, so go check him out. Go subscribe to him, and also subscribe to me if you can. Like, if you don't have a YouTube account, then there's nothing you can't really subscribe, so. But I think most of you who are watching this video have a YouTube account, so you can subscribe to AV Elvis, and you can also subscribe to me, please. Okay, but in all seriousness, you can go check out my friend AV Elvis. And anyways, on with the what if. Last time we left off with the USJ attack. So about maybe a 1 week or a few days later, the sports festival is announced to be taking place. And Kirishima or whoever it was, I forgot who said it, but isn't it? They were saying if it was a bit dangerous to have the sports festival after a villain attack, and well, yeah, most of this stuff goes like canon building up to the sports festival. But since Deku doesn't have one for all in this universe, he doesn't have to worry about using his quirk. Well, he does. Like, there is one factor. Like, technically two factors. He just has to not get angry or just not feel too much negative emotions going into it, or else he'll transform into his ink demon form, which during the USJ attack it almost cost him his life. So yeah, Deku or Zuku is a lot more cautious with his powers now. And the days building up to the sports festival, he begins training on his powers, mostly just normal training, but also training as just in like maybe he also tries anger management for a bit, just to make sure that he doesn't transform, but also trying to make himself transform just so he can get his better grip on it. And he while he isn't able to while he doesn't while he's not able to had no luck of transforming into his ink demon form, he was able to calm himself down after the USJ attack. So now he's a lot less stressed. And during the sports festival, so the first round, so everyone gets ready, and everyone enters the pitch in their sports uniform. And the first midnight announces that the sports festival has begun, and then the first mini game or first challenge has been selected, and it is the race or the whatever. Like, I think it was the race. And so the the race is about to begin, and they have to. Well, the race has begun. They have to avoid giant robots. So Azuku does what he does best, and just books it. Well, it's not what he. Nah, he just keeps running and just kind of ignores the robots, because he doesn't want to get himself in a fight and get himself left behind. But one of the robots is able to grab him. Well, not grab him, but it is able to basically hit him. He gets smacked across the face, and he gets pushed back a decent amount. But he's able to recover from it, and is also able to destroy the robot with his stretchy body parts. And Todoroki and Bakugo are in the lead, but what Deku does is tapped into his he tries to tap into some of his rage that he had that he had as a child, being bullied for his appearance, since his quirk is kind of a mutation quirk, since it's basically he's like looks like, he basically is Bendy, like a taller version of Bendy. So like he gets bullied a lot for his appearance, well, while he was younger at least. Like as he became older, people saw it as more normal, considering that a lot of people also had mutation quirks. So yeah, he wasn't bullied. He wasn't really bullied now, but like back when he was a child, he was bullied because of his appearance, basically. And he basically used the scrap metal parts of the robots to basically like swing himself off of, like Spider-Man, basically. And how he's able to reach the finish line, he gets in maybe third place. So he was good. So it was good enough. He wasn't fully concerned on getting first place, since all he wanted to do was just get to the finals, where all of the people fought, like had 1v1 matches, and he just want to get to the final round, basically. As long as he was still in the sports festival, it was a victory. Moving on to the second thing, was like tag team jousting. I don't know what it is. I forgot the name of it. But basically, you have to pull tags off of people's heads. And so Izuku plans out what his team will be, and what his team ends up being is Uraka and Meihatsume and Tokoyami, basically the same team that he had in the canon. And the second round begins. And Izuku and his team are able to get a few people's headbands by basically just stealing them off of their heads with Izuku's stretchy limbs. So they're able to get a total of maybe over 1,000 points. Not much, but hey, it counts. And since he was one of the top, since he was in the top 3, he actually has a pretty valuable headband, so he doesn't want that to be stolen. So they go after Todoroki, who has the second place headband, and sets up a plan. So Tokoyami will act as an offense, and basically use Dark Shadow to basically just try to distract and make it, and try and steal the headband. But if Dark Shadow's not able to do so, which is probably very likely, then Azuku Azuku will swipe in, and stretch one of his arms and steal the headband off their head. It's simple, but it might just work. So they try running up, um Todoroki, before they can even get close to him, Todoroki creates an ice wall, and Zuko just smashes through it with his fist, and then Dark Shadow comes out and tries to steal Todoroki's headband, and Todoroki's just using his fire to get Dark Shadow away. But while he's distracted, trying to get him away, Azuku's able to steal Todoroki's all of his headbands by swiping them off with his hand, and they run away. And now Todoroki and his team are all after Izuku and his team, but they're able to catch up with him, and they kind of got cornered. But the round ended before they could win. Before they could before Todoroki could steal the headbands, and Azuku and his team made it into the final round. And a lot of things go like normal, like in the canon. So basically, the first rounds commence, and like the first few rounds of the finals commence, and what was his name again? The tail dude tells Zuko about what a blue-haired dude, I forget his name. I forget a lot of people's names because it's been a while since I've watched My Hero Academia. So apologies if I forget a lot of things. And okay, so the tail guy tells him about what blue hair guy could do. Oh no, his name was Shinso. Yeah, blue guy. His name was Shinso. Okay, so the match begins, and Shinso makes Shinso tries to basically anger Azuku, basically by just being mean about his appearance. Azuku ignoring this, considering that he had to deal with this as a child, and now that he's a lot more mature, he knows how to deal with this stuff. And also because he's been being a lot more chill ever since, the USJ accident, not to trigger his ink demon form. Until he insults Tail Guy. And that's Azuku, kind of baffled by this, but he knows not to say anything. Instead, just he activates a fraction of his ink demon form. You could tell that the ink is drooping off his face. It's just not covering his entire face, but you could tell that the ink is drooping. And his eyes become suddenly more creepy. And I'll just show you. Basically like this Bendy, the wandering sin baby. Baby, not Bendy. Wandering sin baby. Wandering sin baby. I mean, wandering sin Bendy. So, You see, yeah, like that. Basically, he looks like this, except more taller, and he doesn't have the sign. And he runs. He just charges at Shinso, and Shinso tries to counter him by basically trying to grab his arm, but Izuku just grabs him by the chest and then flings him across the arena. And Izuku Shinzo is now out of the ring, meaning that Izuku wins. And after hearing that he's won, he kind of calms down because now that he doesn't want to go haywire. Like, he technically had some control. He just got angry. He got a little bit angry, and he kind of lost a bit of himself. So yeah. Anyways, all the other rounds in the first round go like canon. Like and so yeah, just give me a second. Sorry, I just needed a moment to watch some. I just needed to catch up on my Hero Academia Sports Festival. Okay, so every match goes pretty much the same, except for except for the ones that Izuku's in. And of course, that next one would be Izuku versus Shota Todoroki. Okay. So there's been all this. Todoroki's been saying how he's going to beat Izuku, and there's nothing and that he's just gonna win. And Izuku he's gonna try his best to prove him wrong. And the match begins, and Todoroki has summoned just a lot of ice. Had summoned a lot of ice from his feet, and almost half of the arena was engulfed in ice. Izuku was basically able to climb the rising ice, and basically skate his way down. And then while Todoroki's trying to make more ice to stop Izuku's just using the ice to basically be an acrobat, just flying around the place off of different spears of ice. And then what he does is while Todoroki is trying to keep track of his movements, Deku tries to jump on top of him, but Todoroki is able to block him with a wall of ice. And what does Izuku try? Izuku tries, now that Todoroki is creating more and more ice, Deku realizes something. The more he uses his quirk, the more he starts to freeze. So he decides to keep flying around and try and survive until Todoroki realizes that he's almost completely frozen. And he keeps doing it. Eventually, Todoroki's just almost frozen, and he realizes this and stops using his quirk for a bit. And Izuku shouts, "You think you're only gonna win with your ice? You're gonna need a lot more than that if you want to stop me." And Todoroki realizes that Izuku's right. He's basically outplayed him. He's used his greatest weakness against him, and it seemed like he'd never win. And while he doesn't want to use his fire side because his father Endeavor had been so abusive to him, and Izuku just smashes the ground. Well, basically he smashes into Todoroki, and Todoroki is almost out of the ring. He's like lying down. He can't get up because part of his body is frozen. And Deku's about to knock him out the ring. And like what Izuku does is give a motivational speech to Todoroki because he doesn't actually care that much about winning. Like, he may want to prove Todoroki wrong, but then again, he realized that Todoroki is going through a lot of stuff. So he gives a bit of a motivational talk to Todoroki, saying that you can't solve everything with ice. You're gonna need some fire in your life. And saying that what it's your quirk. Just because it's your father, you inherit. Just because the fire is from your father doesn't mean you can't turn it into your own. And that's the straw that broke the camel's back. And Todoroki engulfed himself in just a blaze of flames, melting the ice on his body. However, this melted most of the ice chunks around him, so that means Izuku had a lot more space to roam freely. And then Izuku, seeing this, gets extremely pumped up and excited, considering now that he can fight Todoroki at his full power. And Todoroki immediately summons a giant amount of flames. And Izuku's startled by this, almost gets pushed out of the ring, but he's able to hold on. And as Todoroki then summons ice underneath Izuku, and Izuku jumps up and then uses the ice to fling himself towards Todoroki. And then Todoroki uses his flames to basically just push Deku. And he, well, basically, not really, but like, basically just, as a normal attack, he basically burns Deku. And then Izuku falls to the ground. And Izuku, not quite unconscious, but close to unconscious, he realizes that he's about to lose. And if he doesn't get up quickly, then he's going to be knocked out the ring. And what Izuku does is that he remembers how Todoroki and him are kind of similar in a way. Well, not really, but they realize that they don't want to use both of their quirks at their full potential because they're scared. And Izuku, realizing this, is if he wants to win against Todoroki, he'll have to use 100% of his power too. And then he builds up the emotions to transform into his ink demon form. Of course, while this is not 100%, it's close to it. Uraraka and Tenya, and basically everyone in Class 1A is shocked because they thought that he wouldn't use his ink demon form in this sports festival, considering that what happened at the USJ. But then Uraraka and Tenya remember that Izuku and Todoroki are both similar. They are too scared to use their quirks at 100%. And they realize that Izuku wants to win, so of course he'd use 100% of his power if needed. And Izuku now has a bit more of an advantage, being able to slip into the floor and get in for surprise attacks. And he does exactly that. He's able to phase through the floor, and basically he's able to turn into a puddle of ink that then slides across the floor, and is also able to go through walls, and also technically teleport. Like, as long as something is covered in ink, like he's able to teleport to it as long as he creates his own ink. So he shoots a bunch of ink blobs on the ground, and he goes through all of them, basically acting as portals. And he keeps jumping through them, and eventually this confuses Todoroki. So Todoroki realizes what Izuku's trying to do. He's trying to make Todoroki use make him try and use his ice powers a bunch of times, so that he'll be frozen again. And while he's trying to heat himself up, then Izuku will just push him out the ring. And Todoroki, realizing this, he tries to burn away the ink with fire until one portal's left, and Izuku hops out of it, grabs Todoroki by the head, flings him up into the air, and then basically grabs him again, wraps basically just while he's in the air, he basically creates ink blobs that basically latch on to Todoroki until he can't move. And now that he's immobilized, Todoroki is immobilized, Izuku wins the match. And it was a tough one, but since Izuku is still in his ink demon form, he's about to basically kill Todoroki, but then he remembers what caused this transformation, because this is more of a less powerful and more just a less powerful version of his true ink demon form. Because this was mostly caused by his own will. It wasn't caused by something, just negative emotions purely. It was caused because of Deku's urge to win. And he wonders what other emotions can also make him tap into Ink Demon after this fight, and so Izuku had won all of the matches, and also all the matches in the semifinals go the same. So yet Tokoyami still loses to Bakugo, and this is the finals: Izuku versus Bakugo. And anyways, so the match begins, and they're both staring down each other, just waiting for the first move, until Izuku just splats a random blob of ink on the floor, and what Izuku did with that blob, well, what he's trying to do with that blob, well, you'll find out soon. And Bakugo, confused by this, decides to attack anyway, because why would he just leave a random blob of ink on the ground? I mean, that wouldn't do anything for him, right? Like, if he doesn't create more, then that wouldn't do anything. And Bakugo just charges, and then he's about to detonate explosion from his palm when Izuku grabs his arm so quickly that Bakugo or anyone could not even notice, and tries to flee him out the ring, but then Bakugo detonates the explosion within his palm, and Azuku's arm is just destroyed.
Oh wait, this is W.
My sister's here now. Anyways, Azuku now that
Bye.
Azuku now that his arm's been destroyed, Bakugo keeps just exploding palmies with him. He just detonating explosions from his palms at Deku, and he keeps Azuku, not Deku, because he doesn't get that nickname here. Just give me a second. And Azuku, not knowing what to do, remember that random ink blob he splat on the floor at the beginning of the match? Well, he basically... Why did you turn off the lights?
No, whatever.
And Azuku he created another ink blob on the floor. And like right below his feet, and went into... Okay, come upstairs.
Look at that. Look at the glowing pop. Wait, why is there not one glow?
It does glow, but you can barely see it.
Just kidding.
Azuku creates an ink blob on the floor and jumps through it.
Smack his booty.
And he teleports to the other side, and Bakugo realizing what he's about to do, he is able to predict Azuku trying to grab him, so he explodes Azuku's other hand, and Azuku trying to regenerate this. He takes the time to regenerate it, but that leaves his guard down, leaving Bakugo able to knock him out the ring, which he does. Meaning that Bakugo had won, but Azuku didn't stand a chance considering that it was explosions versus ink.
You okay, guys?
But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is a lot more longer than I thought it would be. So I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.